Hello! Hello! We're not having that conversation. We're not sullying this stream right off the bat. It is already sullied. So, hello! Welcome to the DnD stream. The Jarviskjir House Affair. We have traded one missing member for another missing member. So, we have no Delric because his child, his little babu, is horribly sick and needs to be taken care of by Dadric. So, we have got Vale back.
A gruesome facial hair.
Woo. It's not. It's, you know, I think it's handsome.
Thank you.
But then
he's
again,
already told me to shave it. So
all right. Is there any? What's up with you guys? Small talk me. Woo me with your words.
I have literally, by complete chance, of the moment of like a couple of minutes after I sent out a tweet saying we're going live with this,
That's
I
something
got a reply on Twitter saying, "Sometimes you just need something lower par to watch. This show fills this season's slots." It turns out they were responding to one of my anime tweets from like 2 days ago, but when I saw that, I was like, "Well, up yours."
Look, sometimes you just need something lower tier to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just send a tweet out real quick. It's not going to have any kind of substance to it at all. D&D and Ollie. Bleh. So, what happened last week, guys? We don't have Forak, which is quite important for what was going on, of course. Which is great. You know, Forak was kind of all of your plan, more or less. But he's not here today, so don't worry about that. Ian, what happened? What was up?
What, last week? Many things happened. We split the party 3 ways. Forak went off to find work at a forge to get some ways in there. I hung around pubs and talked to people and completely failed to see anything interesting. And the interesting one was Gil, who went off to seduce that elven woman from the shop. Succeeded, but nearly got his face blown off in the process. Then we all met up again, or sort of, well, me and Gil met up again, went back to stake out the house, and or pub, whatever it was, and on the way, got attacked and nearly died.
Yeah, Caitlin did have a brush with death.
Yeah. Then we all met up. It turns out everything was connected. Forak was going off to be useful, and now Forak is very not useful. So,
literally, Forak had, despite killing a man, ended up getting a job with a shady organization that he believes is connected to everything. And if I remember correctly, he had a very one-on-one conversation with old Gilwyn before he left about that.
Sorry, you froze for me, so I didn't hear any of that.
We had Gilwyn had a... I know, but for some reason, at the start of the stream, for the first 30 minutes, it's like, no, you're not allowed to stream. But then, I am, so screw you.
Alright, okay.
Basically, you and Forak had a nice one-on-one moment before the end of last night's stream as well, which was great.
I gave him some makeup to cover up his rocky, fuck ugly face.
Yes.
And then he proceeded to remove the rock, removing the makeup like an idiot. And then he exposed to me his skull and some of his torso.
Yes.
The inside of his torso.
Yes.
Basically revealing to Gilwyn that he is in fact potentially undead.
And more importantly,
not potentially undead, he's very undead.
Forak doesn't know is the thing.
Boy, he's dying very soon.
Yeah, exactly. Forak doesn't know that, does he?
Forak just basically was like, I don't know what I am or why I am. Blah. And he wants to do some good, which, you know, is quite good, quite heartwarming, and I think was part of the reason why Gilwyn wasn't like, as much as he was just like, what? Huh? Which, you know, is understandable, honestly.
I got a bang to the head about 5 minutes prior, so I'm probably just concussed and confused.
Okay.
You'll think it's all a dream in the morning.
So, where we begin. You're in your little tavern, which, if I remember correctly, is called the Lazy Elf.
Yeah.
Yeah. Small tavern in the Crimson Mountain, the Dwarven city that you have been working in for 2 or 3 days or so, somewhere around there. Not a long time, but, you know, longer than you probably want to be on this job for. Forak is going to go work off with a company called Flamechurl. Flamechurl Clan, Flamechurl Company. He said both. It's probably both correct because it's a dwarven thing. And literally in the morning, after his conversation with Gilwyn, he's like, I'm going off to work. And goes off to work. And leaving Gilwyn and Catelyn just sort of trying to work out what to do. Because you can't really come with him. And it's when you're having that sort of probably a little bit of conversation over a very simple breakfast, something like just simple porridge, something like that. Maybe there's some raisins sprinkled in because the bartender's, you know, you spent a couple of days here now, so he's giving you a little bit of something special. With the rain outside, you hear the front door swing open, and drenching wet is Vale, just soaked wet. Walking in, how he found you. How did he find us? How he found you, who knows? But there he is. He very quickly finds you. These two have a room, a table in one of the shady corners of this place. But it's a very quiet tavern. It's a very small tavern. So you very easily find them. There's probably a couple other labourers who are, you know, eating their own porridge. But other than that, you have the place to yourselves, which is why you've been able to speak quite freely most of the time here, because it's so quiet, no one's going to notice. And you haven't seen Vale for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And on seeing how he looks, I would immediately sort of stand up and be like, Sir Vale, are you okay? You're drenched. Here, I'll start searching around for something to sort of help dry him off with, if there's anything of a description.
There wouldn't be anything. Well, there is a fireplace here, and it would be the hearth would be lit because it's raining quite heavily today.
Have I got anything in my pack that would be useful? Probably not. No, I don't have anything useful.
Gilwyn could give him the cloak that he's been wearing when he's in the city to kind of dry him off, but that's up to him.
Vale, how are you doing?
If neither of them do anything about that, I'll actually go to the barkeep and ask for something, but they can like
a mug of ale.
So Caitlin pays attention to that, gets you a mug of ale. Also, the bartender's like, oh yeah, that happens occasionally, yeah, just bring this back, and you get like a fairly like ruggedly warm fur coat, like sort of the Northram Enders kind of thing that you can wear and dry off, because you're wearing like the clothes you wear and just the way you are entirely soaked with water. You're like, you sit and it's dripping into a puddle below you. It's that kind of, it's one of the ones where you definitely feel it in your knees more than anything, you know? And it's the worst.
Well, that's pretty horrific.
I will cast prestidigitation on his like tits and crotch area just to warm those up a little bit.
It's a very strange feeling.
Yeah, there's like Vale's like, he'll dry me. That's what that spell does. No. Have I?
Time to penis was 9 minutes. Pretty good.
Gilwyn's got priorities.
Then Vale's gonna glug down some more of the ale. This city is not as nice as Aradia, and Aradia is not as nice as any High Elven settlement, let alone a city.
Well, I was about to agree with you there, but I can agree with the first part at least. So there.
It's not too bad. I've only nearly died twice.
Oh, have you? What happened over the past few days? I was indisposed.
Yeah, well, maybe you could tell us what you were doing after I tell you about my night.
I'll tell you if you tell me.
Some guy shoved his pistol in my face. And then I realised I
sorry,
said that out
That,
loud.
that isn't a
His
metaphor.
pistol, I have only
It's
heard
one of those
this,
ones that you said out loud, you look around, and there's like two dwarfs who are sitting on another table like, good, porridge is good today. Like, they do not acknowledge your presence at all.
Okay, good.
I've only heard pistol once. Let us see. It was in the basement, yes? It was the contraption he showed us.
That's absolutely correct.
So you found something useful then?
You could say that. I pretended to fall in love with this elven girl that apparently you had a little bit of a run-in with.
No? Never met her. Never heard of her. No elves here.
Wait, did Gilwyn doesn't know that, does he? Or does he know that?
Well, Gilwyn was told by Forak very in detail
Right.
how much Vale flumped it.
Oh no!
Because literally, like, afterwards, Forak walked with Gilwyn to that shop so that Gilwyn could go flirt with the woman. So...
Forak told me... Well, he told me a couple of things. And it happens to everyone, mate. But she was wooed by me, of course, and... I don't know, we spent some...
Would by him.
Yeah. She took me back to her place. She gave me the old once over, and then I actually did some work, and I
Vale, like, he visibly, when you're like, then I actually did some work, he's like, oh, you did.
I did some reconnaissance, which is always good, and I found out that. Hang on 1 second. I found out that she works with, or at least knows, a hunting company called Panther Way.
Panther where?
Panther Way.
Way.
Gilwyn tries particularly hard to pronounce his Y's.
Officially, it's a trapping company, but they're more involved in poaching in the Elven lands.
Poaching, eh? Interesting.
I think it's a front for these cocktails and pistols. And while I was there, they said a couple of names.
Oh yes.
Yeah, there's a guy by the name of Broadsunder who seems to be the core of all this.
Broadsunder.
Yeah, so keep that name in mind for when we go out adventuring today.
Broadsunder.
So, after this, Vale then regurgitates the information he's got. So, because it's way easier for me to do it than to, like, Facebook Neil all this information. He basically been spending the last couple of days trying to find, like, the equivalent of a thieves guild. It kind of is. There's definitely a seedy underbelly, but he definitely had trouble finding any of these who spoke common. He did manage to get names, trying to not be so obvious that everyone knew what he was doing, but he did manage to get the names of two organizations, Smolder Black Forge and Flame Churl Clan. And also there was something about a road going north, but Vale thought that must have been someone pulling his leg because north is a mountain.
So that was Smolder Black Forge.
Yep.
And blah 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 clan.
Flame Churl Clan, yes.
Flame Churl.
Flame Churl Clan is actually where Forak is going to work now, but
Yeah,
Vale
I
doesn't
feel
know
like
that.
we've heard about Flame Churl at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I mean, that information matches up with what Forak gave us, more or less. Although I haven't heard, he didn't hear anything about this road going north. That seems quite strange, but
I suspect that was a either a misinterpretation in the differences in the local thieves' cant, or someone having a laugh at my expense. They are dwarves. I am an elf.
while that might be true, it would be good to not dismiss it outright. If nothing else, it might be in your thieves' cant. It might be a way of saying something else. Perhaps it's their reference to their smuggling route or something. I don't know. But yes, it doesn't seem to be of immediate importance. The question is, where do we go from here? Because with Forak going to the Flame Churls,
I can assume that we will learn something from the Flame Churl clan, or at least they will learn of us, and they will kill Forak, and they will come and kill us. Or
I laugh when Vale says they'll kill Forak.
This is an uneasy laugh.
Yes, it is.
The chap you mentioned, Sun Reaver?
Broadsunder.
Broadsunder.
Come on, Vale.
It's been a long couple of days, all right? I haven't eaten properly. This ale is going straight to my head. Broadsunder sounds like something we could investigate. However, I suspect Smolder Black Forge would be the easier one, or certainly something easier to find than a single person in a city.
I believe that was where Forak has already been to work, and that was where he got the introduction to Flame Churl, unless I'm mistaken. But
yeah, he didn't give you very much detail about it. You definitely know it's connected.
It might be. It's connected. Maybe it's where in some secret part of it they make or maybe not even secret part of it, they make these pistols. I do not know. They seem to have an arrangement with this poaching company to provide these pistols, because by your description, Gil, all of the people in this company had pistols.
Pretty much.
I'm sure I have heard of Flame Chill before. Was it mentioned in the basement? Did he mention it? I'm sure I have heard it. This name, it rings a bell.
It might ring a bell from something another character has heard in the world before.
I don't believe I've ever heard of it, Surveil. It was a new name to me.
Although, you can always give me a history roll, Mr. Vale. See if you do know anything. Why not?
Why not?
You know?
I like me a good old...
You like them odds?
I like them odds. Ooh.
Roll that shit.
First roll of the session is completely and utterly average. You have heard that before from your times on the high seas. That name rings a bell. Something to do with trade, something to do with weapons. But it's one of those things where it wasn't even a conversation with you. You overheard a conversation in another way. But that name actually does ring a bell.
It does. Can confirm.
Yeah.
Rings a bell. Just a little bell. But it's sitting there, just ringing it.
Done. Bell rung.
So now we need to decide what we want to spend our time doing. While Forak is out, you say he's researching the Flame Chill clan.
Yes, he's going after that aspect of it. So if we are to go after anything, Broadsunder would make the most sense, although I don't know if he would be directly related.
Broadsunder. Do we know, is he a dwarf? Is he a native of Crimson Mountain?
He has a penthouse in Crimson Mountain.
So we know very little.
Yes, Deadstrike Broadsunder was the name. That's, I believe, all we have, and that he seemed to be Deadstrike.
Deadstrike Broadsunder.
Desdroik. It's on the character compendium somewhere.
Sorry.
If you want the exact pronunciation spelling, but it's also understandable that you would get. It's been Chinese whispers at this point, you know. It's been cascaded down.
Deadstrike. Okay, Deadstrike.
He seems to be someone of import to this poaching company. As I say, possibly not directly related to the pistols being made, but he might have information on the pistols anyway. He was related to this, to the Forak mentioned a foreman, I think, at this Smolder Black Forge. Or no, it wasn't Forak. This is information we got out of that woman who attacked us. I can't remember it all now, I'm afraid.
A lot happened, Vale. A lot happened. Caitlin almost died.
Sounds like a lot happened. Perhaps the best plan for now is, as we are clearly not locals of the city, if we find out the location of the penthouse. A penthouse is on the top. Yes, I will climb the building and I will do some peeping through some windows. See what we can find out. We will see what the fellow looks like. Wait for him to leave once we know. Follow him. See whether we can find anything.
That's as good a plan as any.
You want to climb a building?
Yes.
Can he do that? And I looked to Caitlin.
It's a very impressive sort of
I mean,
boat, isn't it?
It's not unbelievable. I've certainly heard of people who are able to do so. If he's trained in it, I took him at his word, to be honest. I assume you wouldn't lie to us, Sir Vale.
Well, I mean, every time you climb, there is a chance something may go wrong. But I have climbed up and down the floating city of Thundral many times.
My eyes would widen about. I probably know. I don't know. I imagine Gil would probably know of Thundral as well. But I particularly me being interested in in elven stuff, I would be like, "Whoa, that's impressive."
You would know. Both of you would know, even in passing. Thundral, yeah, there's a city. Above it is a floating city. This guy climbed the floating part, the part where if you slip, you would just fall to death. So yeah, that's a little bit of a... That's like one of those things like, is that real? But he's saying it pretty sincerely. But he's also very wet, so who trusts a wet man?
It's a fair point.
Well, let's get you dried up before you start slipping all over buildings.
Yes, best not to do it in the wet, the pouring rain, like right now. That might be a bit difficult.
Well, we might at least be able to find a location for it in the rain. If you two are, if you're going to dry up, I might around a bit.
Try not to get attacked again. Apparently, it sounds like that's what you have been doing while I've been gone.
I'll just smile at that and sort of get up. There's not many people in the tavern at the moment, is there?
The people who were there have left. There's just sort of the barmaid is right now cleaning their tables. So you're almost
I'd borrow. I'd borrow Gil's cloak, or the cloak that was given to Gil by Forak.
Yeah.
Sort of put it over my head, and then sort of go for a wander outside, see if I can find anyone to talk to. And
okay, so what exactly are you trying to look for, Caitlin?
I am just looking for information on particularly where the penthouses are in Crimson Mountain, because I don't think any of us know that.
Yes, go ahead and give me a standard persuasion roll. Just sort of, you're going out talking to people. It's again, I'm not going to give you any sort of penalties. You do look like a tourist that would commonly be in the city. They probably actually would assume you're half elf because you're wearing elven armor and like this green robe and racism. So you know how it is.
Yeah.
At this point, me and Gil have gone up to Gil's room. We've stripped off. We're just beating each other with pillows in front of the fire.
You think your rooms have fires in this place? No.
Hells yeah.
No, this place is too crappy for that. Caitlin, people aren't really willing to stand in the rain and talk to you. It is really knocking it down. You're like, how did Vale get so... It's raining. So you do go around, you try asking some people. People do point, and they do point northwards. They point up the city, and you can quite clearly see... I mean, that's the area of the city where you can see sort of castles and keeps. Maybe that's what they mean by penthouse. But no one actually is willing to have a proper conversation with you. Most people are like... And I imagine you're even asking in Dwarven, but most people are still like... And like keep walking. They're not willing to stop and talk to you. And even I imagine you go into like a shop and like... No one's willing to actually have a real conversation.
You're not asking
exactly.
any questions.
If you want questions, you will buy. You want to buy borscht?
Yeah, I would.
Exactly.
I wouldn't want to get too soaked. I'd probably return to the tavern, as long as I've got a general idea.
Yeah, imagine you spend about an hour trying, and when it's clear nothing is going to help, you come back and you find these two in front of the fire. Like, their chairs are moved exactly in front of the fire by now. And,
during Caitlin's little...
escapade.
Asking I would be asking
Escapade.
Vale. So, why can you climb? I know you live in a floating city, but surely
yes,
there are...
well, I do not live in a floating city. Back in the day, as a young sun elf, I was conscripted into the, as expected of a young sun elf, into the academy upon the floating city. This is where all these paladins and clerics of Ormandator are trained. I took to it in some aspects, and in some aspects I did not. And sometimes I would wish to leave the city and slip down for some other types of studies, the sorts that require breaking in and stealing. Anyway, the point is, there's only one way out of the city unofficially, and that is to climb.
Unofficially?
I could not leave officially, could I?
How do you leave officially? Is there like a big chute?
There's
Big
a gate.
slide?
You leave by the gate. And they say, good day.
And then
They
you...
tick you off and you leave officially.
But the height, Vale, there's a height.
Oh, yes, well, you see, the high elves have floating platforms and other such.
Whoa.
Sky
We solved
chariots.
this problem a long time ago.
Oh yeah. Sky chariot.
I would be absolutely enthralled by all of this.
And then, again, the door loudly opens, the wind blows in, and the Caitlyn
By the
is
way,
looking the most
Vale's
attractive
just been
she ever
slowly-
has.
Slowly stripping during this conversation, just taking off more and more.
I imagine he's got like the shirt off, but everything below on, and like the cloak like right now. Yeah.
Doesn't want to catch a cold.
Don't want to catch a cold. It could kill you in a fantasy world, unless you can pay the clerics.
Yes, it is quite unpleasant out there, isn't it, Vale? But I have a rough direction, if nothing else. Probably wasn't the best idea to go asking after it in this rain. No one would basically no one would even give me the time of day, let alone directions.
It's the morning.
Thank you for that, DM.
I'm here to help.
God, it's the morning and everyone's been wet but me. This must change by the end of the day.
It will as soon as you leave that door. Kathleen, you do not have to refer to me as Sir Vale. In fact, I would distinctly say, do not call me Sir Vale.
If that's what you prefer, Vale.
Mr. Vale.
Sorry, that might take me a moment to get out of the habit. I do apologise, but I will do my best.
Yeah, while we're on the topic, Caitlin, continue to call me Segelwyn. I really like it.
I just grin.
Aw.
As you wish, Gilwyn.
That's adorable.
So, the penthouses.
Yes.
You have a vague idea? Yes? No?
I have a direction. People were gesturing me in a particular direction. It looked more to be castles than penthouses, but perhaps the terms are relatively interchangeable here, or perhaps they're just in the same area. All the rich people. I do not know.
Yes, in places such as this, you will often find the higher you go, the nicer the buildings. It is always the situation.
Yes, that makes sense.
It is actually always the situation. I can't think of anywhere in the world where it's the opposite.
You should do that. You should make a city where it's...
No, there is. There's one place that's the opposite. Alright. Good. The exception that proves the rule. Golden.
Well.
So you want to head off, or you what? This rain doesn't look like it's going to stop.
I believe my ball sack is mostly dry now.
Do you want me to check?
What? No! You're not allowed to say that. Veto. We had enough lewdness last week.
That actually would have caught Gil off guard, and he would have laughed at that. I think judging by the rain outside, I don't think it's going to stop, so we may as well just get going.
I agree. If it is wet, I could give it a try. You know, these dwarven materials, they are not as smooth as high elven. You know, they're like rough, hewn rocks and all these sorts, so...
Well, just don't endanger yourself, Vale, please. Any more than is necessary.
He's climbing a building. In the
yeah,
rain!
I would sort of be like, don't endanger yourself. Actually, this is probably pretty dangerous anyway. Just no more than necessary, sort of thing.
Okay, so you head off. Everyone go ahead and give me, let's say, an investigation roll, trying to get to the sort of part of the city you're looking for particularly. Sure, you can go north. You can all go north without any kind of problem. Don't worry, considering you're all doing stuff that probably won't cause much trouble, but it might. Hey, who knows?
They'll lead us down an alley and we get attacked by thugs.
So it's Gilwyn who kind of knows which way you're going. I mean, you're going north. That's very easy to work out. North is north, and it's very obvious which way is north in this city because it slopes northwards. You don't take the tram or anything, you're definitely walking. North is north.
It's north.
Weirdly enough. You're walking that way. It does get nicer. You go past the forging districts, you go past sort of mining areas. And then you reach the where you would figure like the noble district is, where there are castles built into the mountainside of the red rock. It's beautiful in a dwarven way. I don't know how many of you would appreciate it, the size of some of these buildings. But then Gilwyn notices to both of the sides, like that's probably like what, the Dwarf Lord's palace or some shit, and then there's like maybe that's like a royal barracks, blah blah blah. Off to the sides, where the kind of mountain smooths around, there are more sort of, again, like townhouses, like almost tower blocks, but very much nicer than the ones you've seen in the city. Vale and Gilwyn, the area you went to where the flower shop was, would have these kind of tower blocks, but they'd be a lot less quality, and the one you found Tuscaneer in was only a couple of stories high, but still like apartments. These are like suites, like much larger buildings, much nicer buildings. You can clearly tell this area is so much nicer, and you know how you tell it's nicer? Because every guard has given Vale the stink eye on the way up, and there's a lot of guards, and to the extent that you are fully aware you're being followed. There is absolutely no mistake. One or two of these guards has been following you because you stand out so much up here. Sure, there would be some nobles from other people, diplomats, for example. You don't look like diplomats, you don't have like a carriage, you are just sort of wandering, almost aimlessly. And Gilwyn at one point like points, which is not a good thing to do. So you're very suspicious, and you know you're being followed. And you definitely don't like, oh, this is where Broadsunder lives. No, you just like, okay, there's an apartment, these are where some nice penthouses would be. They'd be at the top of these towers, where half of them is built into the mountain itself. And there would be probably stairwells in the mountainside, but they are definitely guarded. You know how it is. But yeah, you're being followed. You can't see the guy, but all of you know at this point what it's like to be followed. In good and bad ways. Oh, and by the way, it's raining. And it's that kind of rain where it's throwing so much like mist into the air, as well as the smog up here is pretty terrible. Visibility is actually kind of bad. To the example, if you got in a fight, people would actually have higher armor class because visibility is so bad. It's smoky, it's troublesome. The penthouses kind of go above the smog, which is part of the reason you're like, okay, that must be where real fancy people live.
I presume you have noticed that we are being followed, yeah?
At least this time it doesn't look like someone who would quite happily stab us for no reason.
It's definitely the guard.
I think they noticed that I'm Gilwyn Gallagher. Maybe
yes. Go split from us. Go on, run. If we go another direction, here's a 50-50 chance to follow.
I will do just that, actually.
Okay. Interesting.
Oh, go in different directions.
What kind of roll do you do for that? So, which kind of directions are you going? The best way to describe this area is, yeah, there's castles, walled off areas, the penthouses. You could always go lower into the city. There's probably more statue gardens. What kind of way are the two groups planning on going, more or less?
I definitely want to head towards the penthouses.
Cool.
Yeah.
So basically, Gilwin's just going to go off any other random direction to give it an old distraction.
Be a tourist. Go
do you
look
also
at
want
the
to
castle
very
or something.
obviously do this so they would like go after you instead? Is what I'm thinking.
I think, I mean, we want it to be obvious. At this point, he has a choice to follow one of the two. He might follow us because there's more of us, but again, we can do that ploy again. We can split again later
so it works.
What I'll do is, as we're all walking, Gilwin will stop, let them walk off a little bit, and I'll look around very obviously.
Okay.
And I'll take to the next right I can.
Give me a deception roll, but with advantage, because this is very easy to do. Hey!
You carry on rolling the same number when you have advantage.
It's crazy. So, they go off into the smog. You actually lose sight of them. You can kind of hear the jingling of Caitlin's chainmail for a little bit longer. But then she's vanished in this smog. So you wander off down a right, and then you hear jangling of different chainmail. Heavier footsteps. This guard absolutely followed you, and Vale and Caitlin work that out in a couple of minutes. But this guard follows you down. I wouldn't say this would be an alleyway. This area is almost a little too nice to alleyways. Actually, a lot of it is open. But actually, where you would go, you're going into the mountain, into the basically the dwarf-only areas. You know, this is... You know for a fact from spending so much time in here, like, most of dwarves in the city actually live in the mountain in layers and layers and layers and layers of small little rooms, and there would be better mead halls, there'd be better everything in the mountain for dwarves to an extent. So that's kind of the way you're going, but you're going in the noblest of paths. It's a beautiful path, beautiful engravings all the way along, which are probably about some battle, which honestly you might pay attention to if you weren't trying to deliberately get yourself followed, and this guy is absolutely following you. You can see him now. This tunnel is lit. He is following you. He's not being incredibly subtle about it. He's not doing... He's a little bit far back, but it's not like... It's not a master. This is a guard following you, and he probably actually wants you to know you're being followed, so you behave.
I turn around and I go, "What do you want?"
What are you doing up here?
My own business. What are you doing up here?
Keeping watch on trouble, sir. Who are you? What are you doing in this area? I understand this is your own business, but you're in the Crimson Mountain now. It is our business.
Well, what is your name?
My name does not matter. I am a member of the Guard, sir.
Well, that is a good point. My name is Mitchell and Mitch.
Go ahead, give me a fat old deception roll. Because as Gilwin tries not to laugh at his own fake name. I'm going to roll insight real quick.
I get a nat 20 probably.
It's pass. It's just a flat roll. That's not your name. I know who you are. Henry Gallagher? What are you doing here? Like, guy goes up and, like, takes a torch and, like, waves it in your face. Kind of, like, to look at you, which to a dwarf doesn't seem as annoying as probably it is to a human. Because he's like, it's like how you would expect, like, a wall. He's like, hey!
Yes, you found me.
Is there a private function going on that I don't know about? I'm not invited. Oh, I guess I need more promotions.
Well, between you and me, my friend, I was looking for a pretty high-class brothel.
Oh.
The ones down there.
No, I understand. You want proper women with curves you can grab onto. He's saying like the exact same things Forak was. You know what? I shouldn't do this, but I'm a great fan. I've not seen you directly, and he starts like actually leading you. I've not seen you directly, but I've heard many bards recreate your tales. The exact same thing Rue said. We can go away from you for now, because who knows wants to know what we'll come back to what happened later. Vale and Caitlin, you easily make your way to these penthouses. It's the kind of place where each one would have a courtyard outside that is private, and it would have a gate. And you are almost 100% sure there's other ways into these structures. It's dwarven, there's always a lot of back tunnels. There's probably ways in from actually underground, because most of the people who live here probably would prefer to stay underground. Often dwarves spend too much of their life underground, and they never want to leave. And that's kind of just... This would definitely be built for that in mind. But you can find just a number of these courtyards.
I presume they don't have guards in them?
Go ahead and give me a quick perception roll.
Because I would say that would be hella fucking expensive.
Welcome to the top of the city.
18.
There are guards of the Crimson Mountain Guard patrolling the area. One or two of them you do notice have a sort of like a night sort of thing going on outside. One or two of them have people who are definitely like the doorman, who is not a guard, but they probably have a crossbow hidden around the corner. What you notice is one of these courtyards, there's two people hanging out outside, and they're wearing fairly standard, actually probably studded leather armor, and they have panther patches on their shoulders. Caitlin doesn't see this yet.
No, I wouldn't see
You can't see so well through the fog. The smog, to be accurate. But you definitely noticed this, Vale. They're standing... The gates for most of these courtyards are open. And they are standing sort of near the gate. They're having a conversation. Around about the same time, a courier is showing up with a cart full of just boxes. And there's like a tarp over it because it's raining so much. And these two women, they are under a little overhang. Like a little gazebo type thing, basically. But it's made of stone. Stone gazebo?
Yeah, you can get a stone gazebo. That's legit. Okay. I'm gonna point out the two guards that I've noticed with the panther patches.
I would immediately... for panther patches, I believe those are the Panther Way Trapping Company, although you might have already guessed that.
Indeed, it seems that this is the penthouse that we want.
Entirely possible.
Right, let us move round the side. So we're these courtyards, the gates, the walls, they're sitting in like sort of a semicircle against the sheer mountain face with half.
Basically, the penthouses, they're kind of like squarish tower block, but there's definitely more decoration to them. Further down in the city, there would even be more decoration to them because dwarves are building. There would be not gargoyles, but those kind of precipitates. I don't know, things coming off it. There'd be shapes. Every couple of floors would actually have like a slightly different shape because it would be a work of art, which you're like, that makes it easier to climb.
Yep.
But it's, half of it is jutting out the mountainside. You actually honestly could climb the mountainside. You don't know whether it'd be easier or not. You're not as used to it. But the courtyard, more of a square outside. But it's like a walled off outside area. You can actually get to the side of the penthouse quite easily. It's not walled off.
Okay, so that's where I want to get to the side of the penthouse. I want Caitlin to come with me, and then I'm going to start rustling about in my backpack.
You absolutely can, because of the fog. Anyone who's sort of rustling around in the streets, they either don't see you or they don't assume anything.
Yeah. So I am going to pull from my backpack. First off, I'm going to start offloading things to you. Okay.
Okay.
Lowering your weight.
My unstrung longbow, my backpack. Out of my backpack, I pull my belaying pin, my club. I pull out my 10 pitons, and then I rudely reach. I presume you have rope on you.
I don't think I do actually. No, I don't have rope.
Well, guess we're doing this without. Okay, I guess I'll put the pitons and the club back. I might.
You wish Forak was here. I think Forak's the one with the rope.
Yeah.
You all did. The thing is, you're advanced D&D players at this point. You're like, we don't need the rope every adventurer starts with. You forgot how useful the rope is.
Oh no, I remembered it. I just don't think it would be something that Caitlin would carry.
It wouldn't be. You're right.
Right. Okay.
I would obviously offer Vale a leg up, sort of to try and help him get started as high as possible.
It's one of those things where there's no windows on like the first floor, but it's a dwarven building. Most of the floors aren't very big. Aren't as tall as, especially an elven building where they would have very vaulted ceilings. So the foot up basically can like get him up a story.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a piton and a dagger. That's it.
Cool. So go ahead and give me a climbing roll with any benefits the climbing pack gives, which I don't remember what they are.
I don't know what they are either.
I'm going to look it up real quick. I actually have the section open. How suspicious? It doesn't give you any bonuses. It just means you can't fall to your death, basically. So actually, you have a climbing.
I don't have rope though, so I don't actually.
Wait, do you have the climber's kit like as a pack in your inventory?
I have it unpacked.
Yeah.
With no rope.
It comes
with no rope though.
It's meant to come with rope.
Yeah.
Oh no, it comes with a harness, not the rope. Yeah, never mind then.
Okay,
the pitons would help though. It definitely helps like the DC on the whole thing.
Yeah, I'll be alright. I'll be fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll acro for this.
Yeah, absolutely acrobatics.
Oh boy.
Okay.
That wasn't a good roll.
So, you start climbing. This is not like the buildings Vale has climbed in his youth. It's also been a long time since he climbed buildings like he had in his youth. He's more used to climbing wooden structures nowadays. And this is a stone structure, very different style, very different way. You can very easily
also
like
wet.
It's also wet. You can also jam your piton in, like go up.
Yeah, that's why I took the single piton.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you're doing. That's easy enough to do. It's very well made stone, but you know exactly where. Like you already go in weaknesses from rain or whatever's going on. You know, probably someone's like painting on the other side, nail it, and you're like, aha. The slight weakness in the wall. You do make it a couple of stories up before you're like, this was a lot harder than you expected. You knew it would be hard. It's raining. Rain makes every climbing challenge so much harder. The rain is just cascading down, and it's not just rain. It's rain mixed with the pollution that makes it sort of this gloopy slime in some places, which you would absolutely, probably part of the reason why you'd stop is because like your leg would get caught in it, and you'd drag yourself up onto a ledge that borders like one floor and another, and you're maybe 4 stories up, which is very impressive. But this building goes up quite a ways. You're not really halfway up. But do you know what there is on this floor? Windows. I would also say at this point, Caitlin, he's just gone into the fog. You would hear him, but you can't see him.
I'll just hang around nonchalantly.
I'll just have a quick peeky through a window, see what's going on in there.
Okay, give me a quick perception roll.
Oh boy, I'm not rolling very well today, am I?
You are not. That's what you get for leaving for a...
I don't think any of us are rolling particularly well, apart from, like, Gilgos.
I think Ollie's just got a little modifier on that means we can't roll higher than 15.
I mean, this whole penthouse, this whole tower block is mostly going to be noble rooms. You look into a window, you see basically a dining room / drawing room. They're kind of combined, and it's much nicer than you would assume a dwarf would have. But then you remember you're at a penthouse. You don't immediately see anything, or you do see a sort of flickering of candlelight. So someone's probably here, because even dwarves aren't going to leave candles lit.
Yeah,
that's just impractical. But the room that this window, the one you're right beside, is open, and the window itself, you're not sure if it's locked or not. You don't know if dwarves would have actually planned for people climbing the buildings.
I mean, Vale's a pretty big risk taker. So,
Yes.
I'm probably gonna try to continue climbing rather than going in.
Give me another acrobatics roll.
The risk being that this is how Vale ends everybody.
You've got no featherfall on this character to save you if you climb badly.
Oh, you rolled even worse!
This is...
I rolled a 2, not a 3!
I will set... That is... You have a +9, which chat is going like, that's ridiculous. It is. Almost everyone in this campaign has amazing stats, which is really good, but also kind of funny. You try to climb... And it's one of I imagine you actually like go around the window, maybe climb up on the sort of fixtures around it. One of the stones collapses, you fall, you manage to grab yourself back basically where you were, but it's one of the ones you fall on your stomach like that and you wind yourself. And you've climbed so many times, this has happened so many times. It's never a good idea to keep climbing, especially in the rain, because you have to really work yourself up to basically lay on the overhang to just breathe for a good few minutes before you sort of come. It's basically like the climbing equivalent of hitting yourself in the nuts. It's that kind of, you need to make some recovery. You don't fall to your doom, but you had that split second of moment like, this is how Vale dies. When you just like lurch downwards.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you would actually, I don't think Vale would have made any noise when falling, like yelling or anything. I think he's above that.
I made a big oof when he had all the winds. Not
Caitlin, you heard that. You're not sure what it was, but you did hear that. It didn't fill you with confidence. So after a few minutes, you can bring your, you can breathe again. You again, I'll say it.
Yeah.
You know you shouldn't climb further up. You totally can try.
That's not going to work, is it? Not with my current rolling. Nothing's going to work with my current rolling. I will... so, I don't know whether the window's locked at the moment. Can I draw my dagger?
Mm-hmm.
So I... slide it up for a catch.
Yep.
I just want to pop the window open, then stand to the side, see whether anyone comes to close it.
Give me a sleight of hand.
Just gonna... I've got Vartan's Curse, haven't I?
You've got Vartan's Curse, you're a rogue in my games. Rogues don't do very well. You can easily break the... This is one of those windows that isn't intended to open. It's actually sort of like a gummy seal. But with the dagger, it's very easy to cut through it and pop the window open. It does have a hinge. Someone sealed it, maybe during construction, maybe afterwards, because you're still in this smoggy layer, and maybe whoever's in here doesn't actually want that to even possibly seep through. You do that, you stand to the side, you don't hear... No one comes to close the window. In fact, you actually hear snoring coming inside now that the place is open.
Okay. Right, let's have a look in. Who's asleep in there?
No one is asleep in the room you can see into, like this drawing room, dining room, you know, like lovely dining table, some comfy chairs, comfy for a dwarf. Actually, no, this room looks quite lush, quite decadent. Not mountain dwarf is probably what someone who knew about dwarves would assume, but Vale doesn't really know about dwarves. You can hear the snoring is coming from inside this place. You don't have any idea how big these rooms are.
Yeah, but if I had to take a guess at where the central column, towards the center of one of these things is, from where I'm currently positioned on the
It would be
outside.
directly in front of you, basically.
Yeah.
You're like
so
in
I'm
the
gonna-
middle of the... You're like on the side of the building, in like the middle,
Okay.
pushing inwards, basically.
Okay, so I'm gonna stealth my way in,
Give me a stealth
and
roll.
I want to make my way to their front door,
Mm-hmm.
basically. You thought Vale was gonna die nice and simply, just falling to his death. Nope, he's gonna be beaten to death by some guards. Stealth roll. Hey!
Oh,
You
yes.
slip through with ease. You walk through this place, and Vale, you don't immediately go to the front door. You're more curious than that. You look around this place. You see that snoring is from a caretaker who is an old man who is sleeping probably in his master's chair in like an office. You wander around, you see some things. You actually snatch a coin purse on your way out that has like 15 gold in it. Probably a paltry sum to whoever owns this place. But you're like, I nearly died. I deserve this. You easily make it to the front door. The front door was not locked properly, so you easily can open it from the inside. Some doors do have locks on there, like whatever. And you actually start making your way, I imagine, upwards from the inside the penthouse. Very simple. There's just sort of like a square spiral staircase going up with rooms basically every floor to every floor, so it's probably half and half. And you easily, in fact, while you're actually sneaking through this place, you can look down. You can see torchlight going around. You can peer and you can see quite easily through the darkness with your elven eyes. What do your elf eyes see, Vale? You see actually guards. Are they the Panther people? Are they private bodyguards? It's very hard to tell, but they're wearing more armor than the Panther people, so probably not. But they're not going your way. In fact, you actually kind of hide in a sort of closet type thing, and they go completely past you one way and then past you again.
Okay.
And serve you no trouble at all. You don't get a good look at them because you couldn't really see them from where you were hiding, but they do not notice you at all, and you manage to continue all the way up until you get to the top floor of this place, because that's where the penthouses are, and Vale very much knows this. He's dreamed many times of owning a penthouse. And where on every other floor there's been 2 rooms, this one, you come to the top, and there's just one large door, quite ornate, with a decoration on it with sort of like a panther on one side and a lion on the other. Very sort of regal pose. It's not very regal when you kind of do it as a person, but kind of looks a little nya. But you know, a very regal door. It's quite nice up here too. There's even actually some chairs. There are railings on all of these stairwells, but the railings are more for show than for protection, you know. And there's even like a potted plant nearby. But it's like a very dour looking dwarven plant.
So is there a way onto roof access at all here?
From here? Go ahead and give me a perception roll.
Perception roll. Okay, I'm back to rolling babbling again. Okay.
You can't see any. You can tell like the floor is a little this floor is a little higher, and probably reaches the absolute ceiling of this building.
Okay.
Is there roof access here? No. There might be roof access from inside. There's basically, from where you see right now, there's just this door. There's actually nothing else. You could go back down, and there were not so exactly maintenance tunnels, but other ways. Probably like a dumbwaiter, actually. There'd be a dumbwaiter going through the center of the building. But other than that, just a door.
Well, guess I'm gonna go kill my... I'm gonna have a listen at the door.
Perception roll.
Hey.
You
I'm just gonna
hear...
set my light on.
Okay, go ahead. Can't get the staff nowadays. You hear birds. Quite far away. Whatever's in this place is large. You hear birds. You hear not bird song, but you know, bird chatter. Not like birds, like a songbird. Maybe a parrot or something like that. You can hear a little bit of movement. You can actually hear a conversation, quite hush-hush, but you can still hear it. I mean, you have really big ears. Maybe servants, and from the footfalls you can hear around, and maybe like a little bit of clattering of cutlery. It does sound like servants. I'm going to give you time to plan what you do when we take our first break. Woo! Vale's off on a solo adventure. while Dean is off on a solo adventure of another kind, and Caitlin is just standing in the rain.
Yeah.
Oh.
I always get the best jobs.
Alright, we'll see you in a couple of minutes. Won't be long. We'll be back in a moment.